Hi everyone, let's have a look at my medium time frame and low time frame Elliott Wave scenarios on Bitcoin, and make sure to check the timestamps to see if anything is new, the same, or updated. In this particular scenario, we are looking for a WXY, which is not yet finished as we are currently in a wave Y. And in this particular scenario, we're looking for wave Y to be an expanding flat, which is a 3-3-5 wave structure to the downside after a W over here, which was a zigzag, any correction in a wave X, and then we looked at this expanding flat where we took the liquidity below the double low that we had, the double bottom at 25.8k, bouncing on the 0.618, which is a valid target for a wave Y. However, looking at time, these lows are made before the 0.382 fib time, comparing the length in time of wave W with wave Y, and in my opinion, this is too short for the end of wave Y, so I'm still looking for eventually a move towards the downside to at least the yellow target area, which is between 24.8k and 24.3k, or even lower to the blue area, which is between 22.6k and 21.8k. In this scenario, the low over here is in locally, and we now move to the upper side of the range, where for an expanded flat, you at least want this wave B to go towards this blue target box over here in confluence with the golden pocket, and the blue target box is between 28.9k and 29.2k. And if we are going to be a little bit more precise over here, then I take a Fibonacci from the high of X to then the low of this first structure, three-wave move to the downside. I put on the wave B expanding flat target, and the most common target for an expanding flat wave B is between the 1.236 and the 1.38, which is currently between 29.2k and 29.7k. And as you can see, the 1.236 is in confluence with that blue target box, so that could be a nice area for then potentially a reversal to the downside. If we then go to another scenario on the medium time frame, which eventually gives the same result kinda, but this wave C might actually go a little bit higher, like wave X is not yet in this scenario. And that's quite interesting because yesterday in Discord I was live walking around here in Croatia, showing people around, and then I was talking with John about potential scenarios, and actually John in the group said, hey Koen, what if this move towards the upside is going to be a wave C, where then the pivot for this W is not the wick low over here, but it's the red candle. And then I started to mess around on the chart, and it actually was quite a very interesting scenario where if you take the pivot, the red candle over here, and you take a fib from the low of the wave W to the high of wave A, and then again put it on the expanding flat targets, then you will see that this move here at the downside bounced perfectly in the most common target area for a wave B, for potentially then a wave C towards the upside. And that's interesting because then the X over here is not yet finished, and this is then a 3-3-5 wave move to the upside for a wave X. So we then have an expanding flat in a wave X. And what's important here is the target area for a wave X, because the target area for a wave X is higher. As you can see, the 1.618 and the other 1.618, these create the most common target area for a wave C in an expanding flat. The 1.618, one of the 1.618s is taken from the low to the high of A to the low of B with the trend-based fib extension, and the other one is just a Fibonacci pull from the high to the low, high of B to the low of wave B. Then you get this area. And what's interesting here for me is the 30k triple top. Like, that is an area that I've been looking for a while already. Even when we were ranging here, I was like, well, we still got that triple top, you know, when are we going to take that triple top? Of course, we don't have to take it because you can see there's a big portion of the target area below the triple top at 30k, but I do at least want to mention that, yeah, the 1.618 is in this target box. We have the other 1.618 in the other target box, but in between, we have a triple top over here for maybe a liquidity grab, hitting the upper target box, and then a move towards the downside where the upper target box is between 30.2k and 30.5k. So definitely an interesting scenario where if this wave X is not yet finished, then you can see the fib times on the chart as well. These are comparing wave W with wave X in time, and then this wave X would be very likely between like the 1 and the 1.618 in fib time, which is fine for a wave X as well compared to a wave B, making wave X a little bit longer in time instead of putting wave X over here. So this is definitely a scenario to also keep in mind, especially if the move is going to go above this blue target box over here, and we're going to get towards the levels of about 30k. That is when this scenario starts to become quite interesting. And then after this wave X is finished, that is the moment we're then looking for a wave Y to the downside. Now this also means that the corrective structure in total, like the whole structure, is going to take a lot more time, because now we are still finishing X, then still expecting a wave Y, which in time is usually quite comparable to a W. So we'll be going sideways for a lot longer if this is actually the case. If you then look at the range over here, the volume profile taken from the 17th of March all the way here on the left of the range to where we are now, you can see that over the past couple of, well, weeks really, or many days at least, we've been ranging at the lower end of this volume profile. Yeah, we backtested the point of control, but we never got back to the value area high over here. So is this going to be the opportunity to go back to the value area high? We made a little excursion outside the volume profile, the value area low. However, we now got back inside the value profile, as you can see, above the value area low. What I tend to like to see is maybe a little bit of a backtest of the value area low over here before then potentially a move towards the upside, where if then these highs are taken, then that could be a potential interesting scenario to go to the value area high. It's about an 80% probability that if we go into the value area, backtest and move and take this high, about 80% to reach the higher end. And that is also, again, interesting with these scenarios I've just shown. For example, this one over here, where we then look for upside, where the value area high, the blue line, is quite close to the blue box. And also in this scenario, we are then looking for continuation to the upside, so at least a value area high to be hit. So that is quite interesting. Now, for the ones that like or have a question, hey, how do you trade ranges? Trade the range until it breaks. Of course, the risky scenario is to just enter the moment you go into a value area. No financial advice here. However, the more safer option, in my opinion, is to wait for a back test. And then once the back test is complete and you take the high, change of the local structure, like you take the high, that's then potentially an entry, stop loss below, and then looking for the upside, where the first take profit is always the point of control, important level, just as it has been over here, and then stop loss break even at a bare minimum for if price then goes to the downside, you at least had some profit, right? So that's it was the same over here. We did, like I kind of said the same over here. You had like move up, back test, then we had this entry once the high is taken, stop loss below the low, looking for upside, take profit one is the point of control, stop loss break even, got out break even, right? That's the way you can trade potential range setups. No financial advice, you need your own plan, but it's a bit of education in, you know, how to trade a volume profile, I suppose. And what I think is interesting about both of the scenarios, the medium time frame scenarios I've shown, is that I've seen this channel going around on the internet, and what I think is interesting is if we break this channel to the upside in both of these scenarios. So in this scenario, the more like expanding flat scenario, we're going to be breaking the channel to the upside. But also over here in the WXY, where X is not yet finished, we're looking for a break of the channel towards the upside. And if one breaks the channel towards the upside, one might think, hey, trend line is broken or the channel is broken, more upside expected, especially after maybe a bit of a back test where you then change the structure. People might be longing, but they might be longing into resistance, because, you know, we have those scenarios that I've just shown you, right, where we're then looking for a downside, and that can be the liquidity, like the people buying can be the liquidity for then a move back towards the downside. So that's something to keep into account, right? That if we're going to break this channel, I can always recommend putting this channel on your chart just in case, and if we're going to break it, keep an eye on what's happening with price, because it might not be that bullish as many people may think the moment we're going to break this trend line or this channel towards the upside. Because personally, I'm still looking for eventually a bit more downside. Now, a wave Y in a potential WXY can have different scenarios, let's say. One of these scenarios is also potentially a triangle, and I at least want to mention it. I've shown this in a old video once, where we were looking for either a zigzag structure, we were looking for a flat, or we were looking for a triangle. Now, the zigzag, in my opinion, that would then be this structure over here, and an ABC. It's too short in time, so I don't really like it. So the triangle and the expanding flat are two scenarios I'm looking at. Already spoke about the expanding flat, ABC, but I do want to show you this triangle, where then in a wave Y, this is then the high in this scenario of a wave X, and then you're looking for a zigzag ABC and then a bigger A. Then you're looking for another three-wave structure in a wave B, and then, you know, all three-wave structures in a triangle scenario, where if we look at some of the rules of a triangle, 4 out of the 5 waves have to be zigzags, which is a 5-3-5 scenario. So an ABC, then C and D tend to be more complex. So if 4 out of the 5 waves are zigzags, there's always, like, of course, one out of 5 is then different, and that usually is wave C or wave D. So this wave B, you expect this wave B to be a 5-3-5 structure, like a zigzag in this particular triangle scenario. And what is also important is that the volume is going to be reducing while the triangle is forming. So you want to see the volume moving down. Now we had a high peak, of course, of volume at the end of this move to the downside, which is fine, but you now want to see volume declining if this is a potential triangle that is, going to be forming on the Bitcoin chart. The invalidation of this triangle is taking the high at 28.5k. If you go to the lower time frames, quite interesting, of course, what's been happening over here. Then in this scenario, we were looking for support in this area in confluence with the double bottom to grab the liquidity and move towards the upside. Very nice indeed. Made the first low, moved up, back tested the double bottom, moved down again to take the first low. And then we had the impulsive move to the upside. And this is what you see quite often on the chart as well. Usually, and I actually said it in the live stream yesterday on Discord as well, usually the first high or the first low is never the high or the low. Usually it gets taken again. And here it's the same thing. Make the low, move up, take the low. So the early longs are stopped out and then the move happens. Very, very interesting for then this move towards the upside, where in this scenario, we are then looking potentially for this to be a wave A, right? Or a wave 1. Or in the bearish scenario, wave C, but I'll get to that. So because this is a 5-wave move, in a more bullish scenario, we want to see this being a wave A or a wave 1. Then we want to see eventually a retracement in a wave B or a wave 2 before continuation, where at least these highs, in the triangle scenario, you don't want to see this high taken, but in the medium time frame scenarios like the WXY with a higher target, as well as the expanding flat, you do want to see that high taken. So it all depends on how deep this retracement goes, because if we're looking at an A, B, C, if this wave B would go very, very deep, then the wave C will not reach the invalidation level. So then the potential triangle might be interesting. And that's actually, I didn't spoke about that. That's actually why I made this area on the chart, where if this is a wave A, then you want to have a very deep wave B, so that the wave C, which usually is between the 1-1 and the 1.236, which, as I can show you over here, take a fib, trend-based fib extension from the low of A to the high of A to then the low of my arrow over here. And you can see that now the 1-1 on the chart is around the 786. That's fine. That's a good target for a potential wave C and also a wave B of a triangle. If it goes to the 886 at the lows over here, right? If it goes to the 886, we're still going to be around that 786. So the 786 is very interesting for the potential triangle scenario. But yeah, you don't want to see, of course, the invalidation being hit. So in the bullish scenario, you're expecting an A, B, C for eventually upside. In the bearish scenario, this move to the upside can be a wave C, meaning this push is a wave C of an A, B, C. This is an alternative at the moment for me, and the main reason is that if this is a wave C, it went past the rare target for a wave C in an expanding flat, and then an A, B, like a 3-3-5 wave move. A rare target for a wave C is the 2.618, but as you can see, we basically moved through it all the way. The 3.618 is over here, but we even closed above the 3.618, which isn't even a target anymore for a wave C. So preferably, I'm looking for more upside, but we always need a bullish and a bearish scenario, and the alternative is that if this is an ABC structure expanding flat and then a potential wave A, then potentially you can get again an expanding flat in an ABC structure to still hit this yellow target area over here, where the 1.618 does not serve any function. So over here you then have an ABC, but because this C is so extended, it's definitely an alternative for me, and I'd be looking at least more upside in an ABC depending on how deep this goes. So basically the invalidation of my preferred low time frame scenario is this low over here at 25.3k. Now, it can go very deep, of course. In the triangle scenario, you want to see it retrace to this area over here for then a move up. But if it doesn't retrace all the way and we move up already, then yeah, this ABC can definitely take the invalidation. Or this can be, of course, a 5-wave structure in the bigger expanding flat that we have over here, and then a 3-wave A, 3-wave B, and this is then a 5-wave move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave move towards the upside, where again that 30k level with a triple top is going to be very interesting. I'd like to thank you for watching and subscribing. I'm going to be back in the Netherlands this afternoon, so hopefully I can give you an update at 7 p.m. Central East European time tonight. Again, thanks for watching and subscribing, and I will see you at the next one. Bye bye.